Hey everyone, so it has been a long time since I've posted anything on this channel, and as you can see, a lot has changed. Joel was born on August 6th, right on his due date, and I just wanted to share about his birth story. I remember it all pretty clearly now, even though it's like a month later, but it's a good story, and I figure I'll probably forget it down the road, so I thought by recording it, then I will remember it. On his due date, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up with some contractions. They were definitely different than Braxton Hicks contractions and more painful. Nothing horrible, but enough to wake me up. And I pulled out my phone and I started timing them, and they were pretty regular. They were probably 10 minutes apart. And I kind of just watched them for a while, and then about maybe 2 hours later, I woke Brian up and kind of was like, hey, I think like today might be the day. I think we might have a baby today. And of course he likes to sleep and he was just like, let's just wait till the morning. And I agreed, and he was like, yeah, I kind of don't really feel like going to the hospital right now either. So he just kind of rubbed my back and tried to help me go back to sleep. Then I woke up a few hours later when it was time to get up in the morning, and I was still having contractions, but they weren't as regular as they were at night. Sometimes I'd have one that was like 5 minutes apart, and sometimes I would have one as long as 45 minutes apart. So I'm timing them. Some are 20 minutes apart. I mean, everything in between, like 5 and 40 minutes. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's not really going to be today. And actually, backtrack a little bit, at one of my last prenatal appointments, they did an ultrasound, and they said that he was head down, but he was face up, and that's not the best position for birth. You want him to be like facing your back. So at this point, I'm like Googling and trying to figure out, well, why are my contractions like this? Like, this feels like labor, but they're not regular at all. So what's going on? So basically that day I was trying to get him in a more optimal position. I was doing different like exercises, and I don't know, I can't even remember what all I did, but I was trying whatever Google told me to try to get him in the right position. So anyway, that day it went on, and I thought, I mean, this might be another day before we have a baby. It's just, they're so far apart. They're not regular, so I don't know. But this is definitely the start. I knew it was definitely the start of labor. Now, some background. This was a Monday, and that night was Ezra's kindergarten orientation, and he was going to school on Wednesday, was his first day. And this whole time I've been pregnant with him, I'm like, I don't know, I might be having a baby when you go to kindergarten. I might miss your first day of school and all this stuff. So this Monday night was Ezra's open house. And Monday morning is when this is all happening, and I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll go to the open house. I just don't know. Like, I might have some contractions there, but they might be far enough apart, and they're not that bad. I could probably handle it. We could probably still go. And then about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my contractions started to pick back up again. They started becoming a little more regular, kind of like what they were doing early on that morning, in the middle of the night. So me thinking, maybe this is just like it was in the middle of the night, and they're just gonna kind of be a little bit regular, and then they're gonna die down and get spaced out again. And I didn't really feel like I was that far into labor. So about 2 o'clock, I called my mom and asked her, I kind of told her, I was like, okay, I think I might go to the hospital today, still not really sure. Will you go ahead and just come up to our house so you can watch the kids, because Eden was taking a nap, and my parents live about 40 minutes away. And that way, if we decide we really need to go to the hospital, you'll already be here, and we can drive another 30, 40 minutes to the hospital. So she started coming. She was taking her time though, because like I said, I wasn't in any rush or anything. And about 10 minutes before she got here, I turned to Brian and I was like, Brian, we gotta go to the hospital. Like, this baby is really close. I think at this point I was having contractions like 3 to 5 minutes apart regularly. So I opened up Find My Friends, and I'm like, okay, my mom's almost here. And funny side note, we realized we didn't pay the water bill, so Brian drove down the street, paid the water bill while I'm in active labor, and drove back to our house. And my mom was here by the time he got here, and we got in the van and drove to the hospital. So I was having, having a lot of contractions in the car, and I honestly was dreading that part of labor. I knew that we had a little bit of a drive to the hospital, and I was sure that that was going to be the worst part, was laboring in the car. It was very uncomfortable sitting, but it was not as bad as I thought it would be. I think I was just so focused on breathing through my contractions that I wasn't like really paying attention to where we were or how far we still had to get to the hospital. Just was kind of getting in a zone. At one point though in the car, I had 2 contractions that were basically on top of each other, back to back. One lasted about 1.5 minutes, and then before I even got a break, another one came. And when that happened, I was like, oh man, we're really, really close. Once we got to the hospital, I ran inside.
So did you even walk in the hospital, or did they come out with
I walked in.
Yeah,
I
you
ran
got it.
in because I had like just finished the contraction
Sorry.
in the car. I was like, let's go. They got me a wheelchair and had another contraction basically right away. And then we got to go through all the paperwork and that type of stuff. And this was about 3:45. Yeah, we got to the hospital about 3:45. They could tell that I was pretty close to having a baby. They knew that I didn't have a ton of time left. Obviously, they didn't know how much, so at this point, I just walked in. So they checked me into labor and delivery, and the nurse went ahead and checked my cervix at this point, and she said I was about a 9. And still, when you're 9 centimeters, it could still be a little while. You could be in that really rough part of labor for a while. And so that they asked me, they said, well, has your water broken yet? And I said, no, but it usually breaks around 8 or 9 centimeters with my other kids. At least that's what happened. So I was expecting it to break really, really soon. She said, okay, well, we'll call the doctor and get him here, and he'll break your water and you'll probably have a baby. So I'm like, okay. So the next contraction, my water broke, and I was like, well, he doesn't have to do it anymore. And a few contractions later, I was starting to feel a lot of pressure and thinking, I'm gonna be pushing a baby out pretty soon. And they're kind of all panicking, all the nurses, and they were like, we don't have a doctor here, like what are we gonna do? So they're like paging the doctor, calling his cell phone, like, get to the hospital now, we have someone who's gonna have a baby, we need you. And at one point the nurse was like, you just gotta hold him in there, do the best you can, try not to push. She said, I can deliver this baby if I have to, but you probably are gonna want the doctor to do it. So I just, again, was just kind of in the zone. I was thinking too, like, okay, this baby's about to come out. This is going really quick. I honestly didn't even know I was in labor for sure most of the day. So this is great. And I was also thinking too, like, I don't want to tear. So by me holding him in as much as I can is going to help stretch that out more and hopefully be less likely to tear. That kind of helped me just think about, okay, I got this. He's almost here. We can do this. And the whole time the nurses are kind of freaking out, and I'm not totally paying attention. This is from what I understood from what Brian told me later. Anyway, the nurses are encouraging me, just you keep going, you're doing good, try not to push, try to hold on. And then at one point they're like, all right, the doctor's here, he's coming up the stairs right now, try not to push, try not to push. And so the doctor comes in, slips on his gloves, and I was like, all right, I need to push, can I go ahead and push now? And they're like, yeah, go. And so he came out in probably 2 or 3 pushes. I mean, it was very easy, and I didn't tear at all, which was the first time that's ever happened. And he was the biggest baby with the quickest but most weird labor. Yeah, he was born at 4:30, and like I said, if you remember, I got to the hospital at 3:45, so we didn't give a lot of time to be at the hospital. And he was 7 pounds 4 ounces, and don't ask me how long he was, 19.5 inches, I think. But he has been the easiest, like, recovery with no tearing. I mean, it's been so easy for me to recover. Breastfeeding has gone so well with him, better than it did with my other kids at first. With Ezra, it was really hard, just because I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first baby. Eden was better, because I'd learned some, but it was still difficult at first. But he has just been a breeze with breastfeeding and with me recovering from giving birth. He's been the easiest baby for sure. You've been good. And you're getting a little antsy now. You're getting hungry. You've done so good. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story. Hopefully I didn't leave out any important details. I think that's most of it. But basically, it was quick. We barely made it to the hospital, honestly and truly. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully I will post some more videos soon and kind of update you on what else is going on in our lives, because there's quite a bit of change. And yeah, this guy will be in it too, because he's part of our family now. So that's it. If you want to leave a comment down below, you can tell me about your birth stories or how they were different, how they were different between kids, or if you knew you were in labor or not, or I don't know. They're all different and they're all special, and it's fun to hear other people's birth stories. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Ezra, who is that?
Joe.
Look.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Look, Eden. Look,
What
It's
is
a
that?
baby. Joel.
it's baby Joel.
Look at her face.
What's she doing?
She's just really confused.
Astonished.
Like, what?
You see the baby? Huh?
See your baby brother?
You see baby
She
Joel?
kept asking.
the newborn?
He's not in my belly anymore. He came out.
His fingers, I don't think he has any bones in his fingers.
He has bones in his fingers. They're just really little. Really little bones.
I want to do that.
What?
Joe's so cute.
You like Joel?
Oh, she's
You like Joel?
You want to come sit on my lap?
I like this
You want Granddaddy to hold you over here so you can see it?
No,
And come sit with Dada?
no. I'm trying to put his fingers in.
You don't want to do anything?